Hi, this is Mohammed Sheikh. Now I'm going to explain big data analytics in the application ICT7. Let me share my screen. So the problem statement is, so I need to perform the clustering on some random data that I should be downloaded from the browser. So I downloaded irish.csv, which is which is like irish plants. We will be having plant species, and depending upon the attributes, I need to I need to divide the data and make it into a cluster, and I need to group them. So actually, we all know that the clustering, the process of grouping the data. So actually, depending upon the attributes, so we can, depending upon the observation, we can classify the data into clusters. So let me share my screen. So this is my code. Actually, firstly, whatever the libraries we are required, so I was importing here. So you can see import pandas library as spd, and then numpy as np, matplotlib dot pyplot as plt, and then scale under cluster import library, importing the k-means function. So actually, I said I had downloaded the irish.csv. It is in my local. So what I will be doing, I was importing that data into the Google Colab. So this is the code where we can import the CSV file into Google Colab. And then here I was reading the data from that path, and then I am printing the first 15 records of the data. So what here you can see, so here you can see the basic information of the data. So data.info, here you can see the column names, and so my CSV data will be having ID, sepal length cm, sepal width cm, petal length centimeter, petal width centimeter, and the species name. So actually, we are having we are having some limitations, like the clustering will be performed only on the numerical data. So it doesn't perform the categorical data. So here you can see the species will be having the categorical data. So when perform the clustering before going forward, so what here we will be doing, we will be dropping this column. In the same, we will be dropping this id column as well, because this is an index where it doesn't play a major role here. So that's why we'll be dropping id and then spaces. No, so it doesn't matter. So actually, if you won't drop the column spaces, it doesn't take the spaces column. It will negotiate it as the same categorical data. So to be on the safe side, I had deleted this one. So I was dropping the two records, two columns, ID and the spaces. So and then I was showing the statistics of the data does description. So here you can see for the each column of data, we can see the count, mean, standard deviation, and the minimum and maximum, some percentage of values. So here you can see the data. So before perform the clustering by using the k-means algorithm, so here you can see our data is having a lot of variation in in its magnitude. So actually, in the previous ICPs, what we can see that when we are performing the image classification, there we can see that for the image data, we'll be having the image size. It will be in the pixels, right? So it is in the range like some 1 to 250 like that. But when training the model, the model is not very easy to train, because the data is very high, and the data size is very high. It doesn't give the accurate value. So what we will be doing there, we will be normalizing data. So we will be normalizing into some form in the less values, so which is in the range like 0 to 1. So in the same way, here in the clustering also, we will be vectorizing the data, normalizing. So here we can see that scaling the data. So to scale the data in, and all the data will be in the same variation. So what we'll be doing for scaling the data, we are importing the libraries like sklearn.preprocessing, and this is some scientific library in Python. So we are importing the function standard scalar. So if you standard scalar, and then I was taking the function into a variable scalar, and then what I will be doing, I will be fitting that data, and then taking to the variable data scale. Now I was reading that data. So here you can see the data is having the same magnitude, right? So this is the data, and then now we can perform the clustering operation here. K-means algorithm, k-means function we can use here. So what I will be doing initially, for the given data, and the model initially gives some random centroid. So initially we had taken n cluster equal to 2, and then init is equal to k-means plus. This is an algorithm where So, actually the k-means algorithm takes the initial value as 2. So depending upon the data, the centered value will be changed as it will be calculating the distance to the nearest data points. So here, depending upon the data, you can see the cluster values in the cluster will be changed and the centroids will be changed. So that's it, to overcome, to avoid this problem. Sometimes if it initially randomizes, it randomly initializes the centroid. So it might not be a bad start. So to overcome this problem, we'll be using the k-means plus plus algorithm. The word will be given in the comment section. So that's why we'll be using the k-means plus plus. So what I will be doing, so I was fitting the actual data scale into k-means dot fit function. So then here the operation will be performed. Right now, what we'll be doing, so my data it will be changing, my center will be changing as per the data. So here to perform which data is which number of cluster is perfect for this data, how many clusters are valid for this data, to know which is the correct uh, cluster, what we'll be doing, we will be using some inertia here. So what the inertia, it will give some values. So as per the nomenology, k means dot inertia, if it is very less k, then it is a then if it is the k means inertia should be less. In the same way, the number of clusters should be less. So then we can say that is the optimal value. So here we can say the k-means dot inertia value is 223. So what I will be doing is I need to show which how many number of clusters are the apt for this data. So what I will be doing to find out the optimal number of clusters, I will be plotting that data as a graph. So this approach is this approach, when we are plotting the data, this approach is known as an elbow curve. So here you can see what I will be doing. I was taking some and this number of clusters, so I can show the data. I can show the data, the initial value in the form of a graph. So I was taking cluster 1 to 20. So here I was fitting the data, and then I was fitting the data scale. So in the same way, I was appending that inertia value here. So finally, I was plotting the data in the graph. So here you can see the x-axis indicates the number of clusters and the y-axis indicates the inertia. So here you can see the inertia value decreases as the number of cluster increases. So as I said, if the inertia value, when we can say it should be when we can say the optimal number of values. So whenever the inertia value is less, in the same way the number of clusters are low, then we can say that is the optimal number of clusters, that is the optimal point. Then we can say that is the actual cluster. So here you can see, you can elbow curve from 1 to 6. Here you can see that elbow bending. So right now what I will be doing, I will be considering from 2 to 6. 2 to 6 from 2 to 6 I will be plotting that data. So here you can see what I was defining a function where I can show the data. I can predict the data. So here you can, this is the function call. This is the function I had defined, and I was passing the input as a number of clusters and then the data frame. And finally, I was returning the predicted value, and in the same way the centroids. So here I was calling the function. The k means this is the number of clusters, and then data I was giving as input. So finally, I will be storing the data into prediction 2 and centroid 2. Like that, I was having the 5 clusters here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what will be doing, I was randomly checking the how it was split for the, if you are taking into 3 clusters. So you can see the 0 cluster label will be having 47 data, 47 records, and then one label will be having 50 data, and the 2 label will be having 53 records. So in that way it is approach. Right now what I will be doing, I will be showing it in a graphical in plotting approach. So here you can see, so actually the data I got is in the form of a numpy. So I will be converting the data into numpy format. So here I will be plotting the data. Here you can see So to plot the data, we use the Seaborn library as function. In the same way we had important warnings, it will negotiate it, it will ignore the some unwanted messages. So this is the code where I can plot the data. So what I'll be doing here, I will be giving the number of clusters, and then the centroid I got there in the above, and then finally I was plotting for the for cluster having 2. So here you can see it is this red indicates the cluster, and then yellow indicates the cluster 1 data, and blue indicates the cluster 2 data. So here you can see for the if I was splitting the data into 3 clusters, here you can see we'll be having this is the data plotted. So actually what happened, this yellow data is split into 2 parts. So finally we will be getting 3 clusters, and for the and when we are taking into 4 clusters, so this blue data is split into 2 parts again. And the size file, again this upper data is split into 2. So here the data will be splitted. So actually when we can say which is the optimal number. So as I said, I guess the number 3 clusters will be the optimal number, as because here in the graph you can see I said the optimal number should be minimum. Optimal number should be the inertia value should be low. In the same way, the number of clusters should be less. So I guess that 3 will be the optimal number here. Thank you.